You know which road in Singapore, right, where ducks like to change direction? Which area are we at now?
Karl Marx and Adrian Ang make jokes for a living. In 2012, they were inspired by comic site SGAG to start SGAG, which takes the mickey out of the way Singaporeans behave. A meme about McDonald's stopping its curry sauce in Singapore went viral, and they haven't looked back since. Along the way, Adrian also became famous for playing the character Xiao Ming, the wisecracking guy in signature shades. The two friends from junior college are co-founders of Helpmill Media, which has since expanded to Malaysia and the Philippines. I'm Sumiko Tan, Executive Editor of the Straits Times, and I'm meeting them at Rapu in Duxton Road. Over bar snacks, they tell me how good ideas come from anyone and anywhere. So where do you get your inspiration from?
One of the models we learned from a company like Pixar is like, where do great stories come from? Ideas could really come from the intern or the most junior person in the room, and it doesn't necessarily come from the founder or the creative director. And hierarchy is a big feature in, I think, Singaporean culture or maybe Asian culture, where we don't dare to speak up because the boss is in the room. We had to do some work there, really, to create a culture where, hey, good ideas can come from anyone, anywhere.
So you see yourself as content creators mostly, right?
Content creation is a big part. Empowering content creators is a big part. I think we see ourselves as the big brother of the new creator economy, trying to see how can we shape the entire economy beyond like ourselves. I think that is something that is exciting for us.
Personally, which is your favorite gag?
The most memorable one has got to be sometime in like 2015, 2016. It was the peak of Pokemon Go craze. And so the idea was, what if we go to one of like in Hougang, there's like this place where there's a lot of Pokestops, and I was supposed to be the prankster. That's one of the reasons why I decided to wear shades as well, because I didn't want to get bashed up by people. So I just shouted like, Snorlax! And just run. Next moment we saw like hundreds and thousands of people were starting to run from the playground towards where the sound where I am. So we posted it, we got like millions of views.
Are there topics that you will not touch?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Over time, identify certain things that I think is a little bit too sensitive for us, especially as a brand, to kind of talk about. I think in Singapore, especially when it comes to race, religion, sex, politics, I mean, these are topics that we veer away from. Yeah, just because we know that, especially as a humor page, this is not something that you should be making fun of. I think this applies not just to Singapore but across the region as well. We understand, our space, our role. I think there are the right platforms to talk about some of these things, but I don't think a humor page is exactly the right place to kind of have a debate about some of these sensitive topics.
Is humor different in Singapore and versus Malaysia and the Philippines where you're in?
For sure, 100%. I think when we started at SGAG, I think obviously we have kind of touched on or tapped on Singaporeans' sense of humor. And I think we have developed some sort of like a formula of like a playbook as to, how do you scale creativity, how do you scale teams, humor, how do you work with brands. I think when we moved into countries like Malaysia and Philippines, just going there, talking to the people, right, we realized that, hey, they're so different. Definitely it's universal humor, but I think what we do, right, across SGAG, MGAG, PGAG, is that we try to touch on local elements, right? That's what truly makes us. We're not trying to target like a global audience, we're just creating generic jokes. So I think that's when we realized that we need to hire the right people, local people, to kind of execute the work there.
Who's the funnier one?
Well, definitely him. I think, back when we were younger in JC, maybe we were equals or equally funny because we had no platforms to do it except...
Looking at too much numbers has killed his jokes.
Yeah, I think having children has killed my jokes. I deal with a lot of numbers, I deal with a lot of contracts, and that's maybe taken the jokes out of me.
All right, thanks very much for having
Thank you.
lunch.
Thank you for
Thank you. Okay, thanks, bye.